Hi, this is Runa, and you're listening to the Changemakers podcast, where we share tips, insight, tools, and stories from other changemakers designed to motivate you to become the change you want to see in your world. Make sure you join our Changemakers community at runamagnus.com/podcast. And now, this is your time to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Today's episode is sponsored by the No More Boxes World Tour, raising awareness towards the limiting, isolating, and device boxes human beings consistently place themselves and others into. Or like Nicholas Haynes, one of the No More Boxes founders, said, "The world is complicated and complex. So it makes sense to put people into boxes. It just doesn't make any sense for anyone to live in those boxes." The purpose of the No More Boxes tour is to introduce to a global audience the power, value, and impact of a world without boxes. Through our No More Boxes breakfast clubs or breakthrough events, each of them is creating a unique and safe space to have a non-judgmental and empowering conversation, tackling the most challenging and difficult areas we face in creating a world that is diverse and productive. The mission with the No More Boxes movement is to liberate each individual from the boxes which limits, isolate, or depower them. It's a global movement that is already shaking the world. And if you want to see a world that is harnessing people's natural talent, leading them to human liberation, peace, and happiness, then find out more about the movement, how you can join, how to set up No More Boxes Breakfast Club in your area, or how to sponsor one in one of our global events. Please go to www.nomoreboxesmovement.com. Now let's go to today's guests. Our guests today's episode are Gareth and Craig, the South African brothers from another mother. Together, they share a passion to unwrap and explore the lives of interesting people. As humans, we are all connected on a much deeper level. And through storytelling and story listening, we aim to release and understand those connections better. In this digital era of super connectivity, the world can sometimes feel like a lonely and disconnected place, hence the boxes. Well, Gareth and Craig believe it's their duty to create change in a way we do business, in the way we view happiness, in the way we lead and influence, and in the places we find meaning. It's time to embrace the emotions that we all have and explore them in ways that are practical and serve you and the people closest to you. I am telling you, you are going to love this one. I sure did.
Awesome.
We're off! We're on
Ooh.
this. I am so excited to have this talk with you guys, Greg and Gareth. And I know here we are, three of us. I'm in Iceland. And where are you come? I know that you are all over the world, but where are you right now?
Yeah. So I'm actually in London at the moment. And I'm down in Australia, down under. So we literally are all over the globe, which is awesome. Yeah.
It's absolutely awesome. And I love that fact that despite, here I am on this little island in the North Atlantic Ocean, and I have the opportunity, just like anyone else, to connect with beautiful people all over the world who are doing magical things. So thank you both for being so generous to share your time with me and our audience today. I just want to drill right into the topic, being ridiculously human. That is, just that name is so inspiring for me. But at the same time, I thought to myself when I saw that and I was doing my research, I thought, isn't that amazing how difficult it seems to be for us human beings to be ourselves when most of us have felt that we needed to be something else than ourselves. So how, if being ridiculously human sounds to me like that's the next layer, what is being ridiculously human?
It's a great one, because we actually ask all of our guests at the end of our show. It's our last question: what does being ridiculously human mean to you? And we've actually asked each other too. So look, it means so many things. I think at the end of the day, for me, it's about being 100% authentic who you are. You know what I mean? We mustn't sort of make things up. Just people are going to love you for who you are, and that is important to realize. And the other thing for me about being ridiculously human is about having people's backs. So, you know, it doesn't matter what happens. You literally are there. They can rely on you. They can trust you for being there and supporting them. It doesn't matter what they're going through. And those are the two things for me, what being ridiculously human means.
100%. And also just, you know, the thing is that we're moving into an age where things are very digital and we have these connections that are being strained in real life. So we want to celebrate the humanness that we all have and really like dig down deep into the things that actually connect us and the things that do make us ridiculously human, like the things that Gareth just mentioned. And, you know, the things that are there's some sort of basics that we all have is we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to feel connected, we want to have friendship and be loved. But to be able to find those things, we have to like understand ourselves, and to understand ourselves better, it's good to like speak with others, because you're a mirror when you speak to others. So these are the kind of concepts and things that we sort of have tied together to form what we call ridiculously human.
I love that. And I am pretty sure when you're saying that, I'm pretty sure it hasn't always been easy for you to allow yourself to be ridiculously human, has it?
100%. You know, we've all had a story, we all have a journey, and that's the beauty about what you do, Rune. You know, you're speaking with people. Every single person you speak to has got their personal journey, and I certainly have too. You know, I've dealt with self-doubt and hardships and you know, internal strife, and just as much as anyone else. And this is the thing, is like a lot of human beings think that when there's a tough day or a tough moment in your life, you think it's abnormal, but actually it's very normal to have tough times. And I think that's a big lesson that you know, Gareth and I have certainly learned by speaking to lots of different people. How do you feel about that, Gareth?
Yeah, for sure, Craig. I mean, I actually think that the way we need to look at life sometimes is that actually, you know what, life is actually tough. It's difficult. It's a challenge. And that's the kind of baseline. Do you know what I mean? But how you deal with that difficulty, with those challenges, everything, that is what really going to give you this different outlook and perspective on life. You can look at it, all these things as like, oh no, this is happening to me again. You know what I mean? And like that's, you're just putting yourself in the wrong mind frame. But if you actually look at these challenges and you're like, cool, okay, I know you're here for a good reason. Let's go and let's sort this out and let's see how it goes. And that just makes dealing with challenges a hell of a lot easier. Obviously there's different scales of these things, but you know, life is about this journey of constantly trying new things, constantly dealing with things. And yeah, we just need to approach it with a different mindset to make it easier, you know, and to enjoy it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And what comes to my mind was a quote that I saw on your website, which really resonated with me. And I think it resonates with what you're saying. It was a quote from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who said, "We're not victims of the universe. We are the victims of our subconscious programs." And that makes me think about, what do you see as we're coming to this day and age? You just mentioned it. We're coming to this day and age where we do have all this technology, and yes, we can connect. Yet, I don't know about you guys, but I feel more and more that almost I need to ask for permission to call my friend before I make a phone call. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So I need to text first. Is it okay that I call? And that is a bit ridiculously not human, is it?
Yeah, true.
It's almost created a barrier in some way, which is strange, isn't it?
Which is so strange. We have that devices, and we used to call, and now it's like I have to ask for permission. And then another thing that I was thinking about in this context, but I think is many people are thinking about today, and that is how is the artificial intelligence, and which is really coming in with the fourth generation of technology. Where do we human beings really how can we thrive in a world where intelligence, in the way that it's being created with robots and other artificial intelligence, where can we stand out? How can we stand out? What are your views on that?
Well, to be honest with you, I think that, once again, it's how you place things and how you look at things. Like, you can look at artificial intelligence and going, oh, this is going to be such a bad thing. It's going to take our jobs. It's going to be so much smarter than us, etc. Or you can go, you know what? Actually, it's going to be awesome because it's going to create a huge amount of efficiencies. Things are going to be much cheaper. It's just going to allow us, it's going to give us more time and more space and more freedom to actually do things that are more human, things that are more creative. We can start using that right side of our brain more. Humans have, one of our previous guests, Richard Mulholland, he's like, humans are problem solvers. It doesn't matter what you throw at us, we will try and solve a problem. And that's all we're going to carry on doing. Do you know what I mean? Give us AI, give us whatever it is. We're going to try and work with it. And that's just what happens. You've got to have an optimistic mindset when it comes to all of these things. And otherwise you start off on the back foot. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, 100%, Gareth. The thing is that human beings have this habit of telling ourselves a story of who we are, who we think we are, and then we tell that story to ourselves and to our friends and everyone else, and that has to constantly be adapting and changing, as Gareth mentioned. And the rate at which these things are happening, the way we adapt to that story we're telling ourselves into where we fit into this world has to just change a little faster than maybe it did in the past. But that's okay, because as long as we step out into the world and show up in a mindset of like, I've got this, we're going to move with everything. Like, everything, literally, there's always been challenges and there will always be challenges. AI is one of them, and we'll figure it out. And it is important to discuss these things. How will we fit in? But it's impossible to totally really know. So you have to be okay with the rapid rate of change and then just go with it. And I think we'll fit in. We're going to be fine. I'm excited, and we're excited for the future, what the future holds for humanity.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, it's really about our program and how we perceive things. And basically, in my language, it would be one of the boxes that you can feel that you're stuck in. It doesn't give you any oxygen any longer, so that you're not going to be thriving. So you look at it as a threat rather than I look at it as an opportunity. One of the things that I hear more and more people talk about when it comes to artificial intelligence and the world that we're stepping into is, in fact, that this is a huge opportunity for humans to be human.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Right. I was like, It's going to do all those things, all those jobs that are like, very analytical, you know what I mean? That are not that exciting. I don't know. There's a lot on the list, and it's because that stuff's easy. Computers can do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the creative side of the brain, which has been lacking over the years, and which kind of like gets destroyed the older we get. As a kid, you're super curious and creative and stuff. And like the systems that we've had in place up until now, at least in the last, I don't know, say 70, 100 years, have like, destroyed that by the time you're a 25-year-old or something. So hopefully AI sort of sorts that out and kind of recorrects everything for us. And then we can become more human. We're going to have more time. Maybe we are going to go out and like grow our own vegetables and just be more sort of like explorative and like just, yeah, be more human, you know. I think we have to look at it that way. It's going to create a lot of opportunities.
And off the back of that, Gareth, you know, like it's also about celebrating those differences, but also if let's say AI really takes off, and all those things, as you mentioned, Gareth, we have more creativity and art and all the meaningful things in our lives. It's also going to force us as human beings to get on better and not have these rifts between us, because actually we will realize, wow, we're actually kind of all the same. So from that perspective, it's also going to be good because we might actually unify in a way that we haven't in the past.
I love that vision. That is exactly what we want to create with the No More Boxes movement. A movement where people are valued for who they are as a human being, not by their gender or race or religion or
That's right.
sexuality or whatever. Are all there. So could not agree with you more.
I actually think we're going through this weird phase like right now, which will be very interesting to look back on, like when you say study history. You know, all of a sudden what is happening because of the internet is that the world is actually becoming much more transparent. We're able to learn so much more about each other, and you know, we're able to find out things a lot more, you know, like who's doing dodgy business and whatever. So it's allowing us to question things. And it's allowing us to see, okay, we've actually done a hell of a lot of things the wrong way. Let's fix them up. But at the moment, we're still going through this middle phase where it's not quite clear, you know. But once it does become more and more and more transparent, and we can start weeding out more and more and more, you know, bad things and bad organizations and these sort of things, then, and you know, in say in 10 years' time, we'll look back and we go, wow, okay, we learned a lot from that. It actually helped us this phase. So yeah, you know, it's going to be good for sure.
Yeah. So what are your views on, and now I am aware that I go into a little bit of a boxing conversation here, but when it comes to the stereotype of men, as an example, and the terminology of being muscular, you know, that's like I'm real man, that's what you need to be. What are your views on that, as in the change that we're going through and becoming ridiculously human? What do you see is going to change in that stereotype?
So specifically for men, do you mean?
For men, yeah. I mean, I have two guys over here on my podcast. I have to get those guys.
Yeah, look, it's interesting that you say that, because I was thinking about that this weekend. I actually think the whole sort of persona of a man and the way we perceive them is changing right before our eyes. You know, it's you know, before it used to be like big macho, whatever, you know, aggressive. These are all the strong type of guys, but actually you can see that changing now. You know, you're seeing a lot of guys like that are say moving to, you know, to sort of get their sort of feminine strengths. You know, so we're becoming, you know, we're more in tune with our minds. We're more conscious of other people. We're people that are like guys that are perceived strong, or guys that can sit on a yoga mat and meditate for 2 hours. You know, like that's much harder than, you know, being this aggressive type of person. And that's seen as a new type of strength. So I think it's actually happening before our eyes at the moment.
And it becomes a positive feedback loop, because I think the lexicon or the language we use around these things becomes more acceptable and easy to understand and digest, like the words feminine and masculine side. Like before, that might have been a bit of an esoteric, strange sort of thing to discuss. But you know, nowadays it's quite easy to say I'm connecting more with my feminine, or I'm connecting with my masculine. People actually know what these things mean. And so when once again it comes back to communication, when we can use our words around how we're feeling and what our intent is and what is meaningful to us in a sort of a succinct way, then we can start to enter into the discussions where people understand where you're coming from properly. And that's when you have real changes starting to happen. So I think it's happening for men. I think women are also being in touch with their masculine sides. So, this is becoming the lines are becoming more blurred, and with everything though, with so many things. And I think these are good because it should be your choice on how you see yourself within the world, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah. We've been looking at this quite a bit, the change makers, and with our movement. And one of the things, and I would love to get your insight on that, one of the things is that we've been discussing is the danger of putting those elements in human beings into something that is called being either feminine or masculine. What are your thoughts on that? Rather than just it's an attribute.
I think it goes back to this program that we've had for many years, and we've been programmed to believe like, this is what a man is, this is what he does, this is what a woman is, this is what she does. But now we're going through this reprogramming phase, and we're evolving as humans. It's becoming the thing to do is to be more elegant as a human, and that's an elegant male and elegant woman, and there's certain attributes that sort of contribute to that. So, we've just got to change that programming, I think, and
Yeah.
You mentioned Rune. You mentioned Bruce Lipton at the beginning of the podcast, and this is exactly it. We've all had programming that is in us from when we were kids, and the first step of all these things is knowing that we've been programmed. And once you know that, you're like, okay, cool. There's been some programming. The milk has been spilt, so to speak. And how do we now move forward, and how do we take responsibility for some of the stuff that's happened prior to us being around, but we're still there to navigate where we are now thanks to them. So it does become, a difficult question sometimes. Who takes responsibility? How much responsibility to take? But at the end of the day, these are important conversations to be having.
Yeah, very important. And thank you for sharing your view. I think very valuable. Which brings me to a question that really around the change that you want to see in the world. What is the real change that you would like to see in your world, and what is the role that you feel you are taking in creating that change?
So you want to go, Craig, or?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I think, Gareth and I have discussed this kind of thing quite a lot. And one of the themes we often come across is it's simple stuff, right? If we simplify some of the things in life, we can really get down to what's important. And one of the big things is learning to listen to each other, really listen, taking the time to delve deep into one another's stories and give someone else the space to tell their story openly and honestly without judgment, and to listen with more curiosity. These are the things that will ultimately lead to changes. And the second thing I would just add there is, like, if everyone was just a little bit less sensitive to outside and just focused more inside, and just really worked on themselves a bit more, got to know themselves better, and instead of always worrying about everyone else around them, if they really got to understand themselves more, they would have more space to allow others in and to listen to their stories. And I think that would start a good chain reaction in the world.
Yeah, and that's great, Craig. And that's just leading on from that a little bit, like the listening. What the listening does is it gives you a different perspective of where other people are coming from. And when we understand that there are so many different perspectives and different ways people view things, it just allows us to realize, okay, cool, we all are so different, but we all have a story and we all have a view, and we must actually consider all of our views, before we kind of come to any sort of conclusions and make decisions. And the other one that Craig mentioned about coming from inside, I think we really need to open up ourselves more. We need to be more vulnerable. We need to accept that vulnerability is actually superpower. And it gives permission. It gives other people permission to be vulnerable too. When you tell your story, and you go, "Wow, this happened to me," and other people go, "No way, is it me too?" Like it gives these people, it empowers them. And then just to finish it all off, and I really think like the overarching thing for me is just, it's literally just love. Like love just transcends everything. Like, and it's just super powerful. You know what I mean? Like Craig and I, we are brothers from other mothers. You know, we met like 7 years ago. We tell each other basically every day we love each other. We have other guys in our life. We tell, these are guys we've been to school with, we've known our whole life. We tell them we love them. You know, it's not just telling ladies or your partners or whatever that you love them. It's telling everybody that you love them. It seriously reprograms you and just sort of makes things, I promise you, so much better. So I guess, yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Gosh,
So true.
I think this is a perfect way to end our podcast. I could talk to you guys forever. By the way, I love you.
Thank you
We
so
love
much.
you.
We love you too.
One last thing, where can people, I know we're going to put everything in our show notes, but what are the best way for people to get to know you and your podcast and what you're doing better?
Cool. Our website is www.ridic-human.com, and we're mostly active, I would say, on Instagram and on Facebook, and all of the links and everything is on our website. And we just love to interact and hear from people. And our podcasts are obviously on all the various platforms as Ridiculously Human. So thank you so much. It's really been great chatting to you. Just fantastic. I appreciate you having us on and providing this amazing podcast and service.
Well, thank you, Gareth. And Craig, last thing for you, just so that we have this equal.
Yeah, I can't echo what Gareth said enough. We're just grateful that there are people out there like yourself, the tribe that you're creating and generating. These things do grow. It does create groundswell. And we're just grateful to be a little bit of that swell in the world, creating some ripples into like maybe making some positive change. So thanks for the opportunity to do that. So yeah, just thanks so much.
My pleasure and our pleasure. Was this podcast of value for you? I sure hope so. If so, feel free to share the love and give us your generous review on iTunes or Stitcher. And remember that you can always go to runemagnus.com to find out more about the Changemakers and how we can help you drive the change you want to see in your world.